those of you who were listening yesterday, now is now, and I'm going to tell you about the Friday edition. So we were contacted by the Prison Phoenix Trust, who are a charity that do really amazing work in prisons to do with yoga, meditation and mentoring. If your first reaction is, oh goodness, here we go, it's the Be Kind Brigade telling us about something warm and fuzzy that doesn't really make a difference, well, I would say stay those thoughts, because actually the evidence is that their work is really changing people's lives in prisons. Our prison situation at the moment is dire, Jane, isn't it? I mean, really, really dire.
There's overcrowding, prisons are underfunded, under-resourced, and prisoners are just spending so much time in their cells.
And the reoffending rates are massive, one of the highest in the Western world. So we need to view prison as somewhere where people can kind of get better from the life they were leading and head back into society, not going to do the same stuff that they did before. And a lot of charities are doing some very, very valuable work trying to give people the skills and the tools to exist better on the outside. Richard is a former inmate of many jails, as he will tell you, who's really benefited from some of the work that the Prisons Phoenix Trust has done. So it's over to him.
I found myself at my lowest when I was in a local prison, the Dorchester prison it was called, and I was on the wing and they come and took me and said, you're coming down segregation. And there was no reason, I didn't know why. And they took me down to segregation and they said to me, we believe you're trying to escape. And I wasn't. And they said, you need to wear this suit. It's called like a banana suit, they call them, a blue and yellow suit. And I was refusing to wear it. And it got really heated because they were like, you are going to wear this suit. You are trying to escape. And I was just standing by what I believe was wrong. And I was like, no. And that got heavy. That was probably my darkest time, because when I was down there, they were like, look, we don't want you in our prison. And they come and they said, we're going to cat A you now. You're going to be a high category prisoner, which changes everything, which I didn't actually understand that thing. But just in myself, from them few days in the segregation, I went into my darkest place, because I'd only just recently been arrested and I wasn't taking any accountability at the time anyway. We don't think like that. I felt a lot of shame with myself and from my family and how I was in there kind of... and that was a really, really dark few days. That was terrible, terrible darkness. And that's when it brought to my change, really, because I think sometimes you've got to go down to that low place to get back up, right?
And how did the Phoenix Trust find you, or you find it, in that dark time?
Well, I found them then, and then I was going to... I got escorted out of the prison to a place called Long Larton with a police escort late at night. It's surrounded by all these prison officers, and it was really like heavy situation. And I didn't find them there, to be honest. I got moved there, and I was having a really like... It was like I was in a different world. Well, the prisoners, I was on a high security wing, and it was just crazy, the world I was in. And then one day they came and moved me again, and I went to Belmarsh. And I was starting to settle a bit. And then all of a sudden I seen this picture on the wall, yoga in prison. And I was like, yoga in prison? Really? I thought, I wonder if they'd let me go on the yoga class. Because I was high security, they wouldn't even let me go on the education class. So I was trying to see if I could get any opportunity to just do anything to get out of my cell and just interact with whatever I could to keep my mind occupied. And then they passed me. They was doing yoga, and the next minute I'm walking around this big part of Belmarsh down in the healthcare and doing walking meditation.
And would it be fair to say, Richard, you're not the kind of guy who would have been drawn to yoga and meditation in the outside world? If you'd seen that sign somewhere in the outside world?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I actually tried yoga once in the outside world because I trained a lot and I kept my fitness up and I always believed it. And I did it in Westminster, I seen it in the Marriott Hotel. They had a yoga class in the gym and I decided to try. And I tell you what, after half an hour, I thought, I do not like this. This was so difficult. I could not believe it. I thought I was some fit guy. And I was blown away, and I thought that this is not for me.
Okay, so you find yourself in prison, and I think we can all understand that an awful lot of prisoners would take any opportunity to get out of their cell. So you go along to yoga, but you find it actually works for you this time around. It wasn't just the fact that it took you out of your cell.
No, it was. We were surrounded by other men, we were all in different situations, but we're all in prison, right? And the guy was very good, and it was like you was out of prison. It was all. There was no talk about prison. It was just listening to him, and then the guy was just explaining us, seeing us through these movements. And he concentrated a lot more on the meditation, and that was giving us a tool to take back to our cell, to take back and use it as we went through our journey. And it was a powerful tool through the stressful times you can have, just the breathing techniques and the counting to 10. And then you started, I'd already decided that I was going to start looking for changes. And to do that, I had to look into myself of why I was there, what had brought me here in this position now. And that meant looking into going back on my life and really opening up on myself. And that can be very difficult because you have to conquer yourself. And the yoga,
Is there anything else in what the prison service offers you that is enabling you to have that kind of self-reflection?
There was a few. I went on I work with an amazing charity. They're not there no more, called Safe Ground, and they used to do family man and fathers inside courses, which was all about art. So art was good. I think art was very powerful in jails. Education is good. Some prisons offer more education than others. I found that the private jails seem to offer more courses and opportunities, but there was never no yoga in them private jails. It was quite interesting. The most of the yoga I found was in state prisons, and I did get moved quite a lot. So every time I got moved, I was like, "Is there yoga here?"
For people who are listening thinking prison should never be some kind of fun camp, some kind of even a mental health institution, it is not there for people to find their inner sun salutations. What would you say to them about the relevance of providing stuff like that?
Because you need to have hope, and you give people hope and encourage change and growth and understanding, and make them understand themselves so they can go back out in society, because they're going to be your neighbour again. And it's about accepting, okay, people make mistakes and do wrong things, and there's usually stories behind it. There's a lot of powerful stories about why people are in prison, and they're being punished because they're taking their freedom away from them, and they're locked in their cell a lot. And it's not people seem to think it's this holiday camp, but I mean, it's far from a holiday camp. It's a very volatile place. And having people like the Prison Phoenix Trust coming in there, doing their yoga, is powerful. And another thing I like to say they write letters. So you can write to someone, and you don't know who they are, and you just start interacting with someone, and you can just write open letters about whatever your situation is. And they would always respond. So I spent my 5-year journey with a lady called Caroline sharing letters. And when I come home, I met her. And that was a powerful moment to meet that lady and I was just amazed. These people were then just putting their volunteering time in, no judging, nothing. And they don't know and they're just writing letters to you. And I found that really quite amazing in itself.
What is the overlap between the kind of care and opportunity that you are given in prison and any care and opportunity that you are then given by the state outside? When you leave prison, what happens to you?
Well, I spent 5 years in secure prisons, and I had no home leaves or no family days out or absolutely nothing. The day I got out, I was given £43.50 and let out the gate, and basically told to report to probation the next day. That was it. So it was down maybe to probation to try and support you, but their job is to make sure you're abiding by, and you're going to be a law-abiding citizen and keeping to the rules and not going back to committing criminal acts. But the tool I realised that when I was doing the sanitation to the sun every day in Winchester, I was saying to myself, be grounded. This is going to be such a new challenge. Be grounded. just to go out and face your family and be back in their lives. And that is strange. And that can create a lot of tension in the family's environment. And, there's still people who haven't forgive you for going away, or your children, letting your children down. So you've got to rebuild them relationships. And they're really challenging. And I don't know, I wouldn't say there's so much support out there. It's usually you've got to find yourself. And
we have a terrible reoffending rate in this country. I mean, it is one of the worst, certainly, in the Western world. What would you say to people who are listening who are capable in positions to try and change that reoffending rate? What do you think?
More needs to be done. More support needs to be done when inmates come out. I noticed a lot of inmates, when I was in some prisons, they were going, I'm going out tomorrow. And I go, they'll have nothing. They'll have no clothes. I go, where are you going? And they say, I've got nothing. I'm going to nothing. And I'll be like, wow. And I used to go around the wings trying to find them clothes and get people to give clothes. And we're finding clothes in prison to give the inmate to wear to when he's getting out. So he's got some warm clothes or something to hold, to take with. And that's a very hard start to go with. So it's very hard for him to go out there, or her or anyone, to when they only know one thing, right? And there's no support to change. It's amazing how the revolving door, how many people come back in and out.
And there is also a very serious debate being had at the moment about the early release of some prisoners. I mean, particularly men who've been convicted of assaults against women, which leaves the women feeling incredibly vulnerable to know that they haven't served a full sentence. Can I just ask you, Richard, whether you have seen in prison men being given early release who you thought there's absolutely no way that they should be going out?
That wasn't happening in my time, no early release. And I think, the government are definitely going to make some mistakes sometimes. I think it's a real big topic of what is right and what is wrong, really, because some people, I think maybe they should do a system where you can earn time off. I think that would be a great way of doing it. So you go in and you've got a system where maybe you can get an early release, but you've got to earn that through courses or through rehabilitation. That maybe would be something that would be more kind of, productive.
The thoughts of Richard. It was a real pleasure to talk to him, Jane. I think that voice of people with experience from behind bars is not heard enough, actually. I mean, sometimes for very, very good reasons, people who've done truly awful, awful things, where there are victims who would run the risk of listening to an interview, for very sensible reasons, we don't put those kind of things out. But I thought everything that Richard said had come from a place of great thought, actually, and lived experience. And if you want to know more details about the work of the Prisons Phoenix Trust, just put it into a search engine and up will come the goods.